Well, it's doing that. Let me get the podcast stuff up. I don't remember where we put it. I put it. There it is. All right. So redirect to YouTube. And are we live? We're live.
We're live.
Mm-hmm.
We are live on YouTube. Welcome back, everyone, to the Mindful Nuggets podcast.
Wow, Monday.
It is quick. Monday again. It's Monday again. So, yes, it is Monday. And it was a beautiful day today, actually. It was a little chilly, but it was beautiful. So
we had snow. We had a little snow here and there, and then we had more snow this evening, and it's still cold.
Oh, wow.
But it was pretty. It's gonna warm up though. It's warming.
It is going to warm up. That is true. It is going to warm up. So, well, welcome back, everyone, to Mindful Nuggets podcast. Welcome back. And today, this is a space for slowing down, noticing what's shaping our lives, and restoring alignment. So, Mr. William, what is our topic for today? What are we going to be enlightening everyone on today?
Is there a mask that you're wearing on your face right here?
I possibly could be. It is possible.
It looks like you're not.
No makeup, but it might be a mask that I'm wearing.
It could be a mask.
There might be something I'm hiding behind. Yes, that's possible.
Ah, okay. Well, there is a little bit of that going on in a lot of places. And, the secret of it is most of us are so familiar with it, we forgot it's even on.
Yeah.
It's basically putting my glasses up here and I'm looking around, where's my glasses?
Right.
It's just part of me,
Right.
Now I can see, but yeah. So we get so familiar with masks and what we wear, what we shaped our lives to. And, that's not a bad thing, but it's kind of a protective thing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we outgrow those. And instead of helping us, it becomes a parody. And growth, it becomes a restriction in who we are and where we're meant to be. It inhibits that. In translation, sometimes we got to realize it's time to take it off.
All right. Well, let's dive into this conversation then. Let's have it.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I am, just let everybody know, I am watching the chat here on YouTube. So if you would like to dive into this conversation with us, put your questions in the chat and we will answer those as they come in and give you an opportunity to be a part of this broadcast with us. So
yeah, get chatty.
Absolutely. Be chatty. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear your opinions on you wearing a mask, why that mask forms. So why does that mask form, Mr. William?
Well, a lot of times it's a coping mechanism. It's a way to work your way into let's describe it as a tribe setting that you want to belong to. Mm. They have their own set of values and the way of being or doing, depending on what kind of tribe you're joining up with or want to join up with. And then you assimilate their behaviors and their characteristics. And a lot of times that is something that you want to conform to. But to do so, you have to come out of your alignment to your value system and what your beliefs are. And therefore, we're wearing a mask to pretend. And then after a while, that mask becomes so familiar with our identity, we forgot it's there. And what if you got that tribe you were part of no longer is somebody or a tribe you want to be a part of, and you move to something else, but that mask is still there. So that identity is false.
So we're not wearing a mask for deception purposes then. We're wearing it for protection.
No, yeah, for the most of us, that's, unless you got some malintent to do harm for people. And some people don't even know they're doing it. That's another situation.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast. But most of the time, we're not We get caught up in society so much in what its expectation is chaos, it's noise. We
Yeah.
forget to take it off and reground ourselves to who we truly are and our true values.
And just after a while, you don't even realize that you're carrying that mask anymore because it's just now it's a part of your personality. You've made it part of your identity.
It is. I mean, for example, in my former life before I got rebooted, um, so it was wake up. I was concerned about what's going to happen tomorrow, and I was in there checking emails all the time because running a business, you're an entrepreneur. You got a lot of juggling hats and a lot of dynamics happening, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of fluctuation. So you're checking emails, and all of a sudden, the very first thing when you wake up, you're not at peace on it. But that's the expectation of how to get things done and be successful is to get on it, get up early, get after it, make those decisions, start letting all that noise come in. Next thing you know, your day's being controlled, not by you. And you're moving, being controlled by situations, emergencies, somebody inserting their will that this needs to be done.
Mm.
Customer wants it this way. But it's almost like a lack of boundaries, and that mask is allowing that because that's what you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it has. Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
All right.
And so,
So
go
let's
ahead.
let's dive into the tribe and belonging. Let's start there. Let's kind of go back just a little bit so that we can get people understanding how this comes to be because a lot of people don't realize, as we've talked about already, a lot of people don't realize that they're in a mask or wearing a mask or a part of that being a mask. They don't see it that way. So, where's that first beginning step of how they can even get the reality that, oh, maybe I am not being and doing who I really am? I'm not living in my authenticity.
Well, let me ask you a question. How do you know that you want to become a licensed nutritionist and a nurse? And then when you got into that, how did your behavior form? Or did you want to be accepted into something of that nature? Because that's what you thought you wanted to be.
Yeah, so a better example was being a nurse. Let's use that one
Sure.
because I
Yeah.
had I had a lot of ambition, a lot of goals in nursing. Being, from a political background, I really wanted to move in that direction. Like that's where I wanted to go. But I knew I had to get out on the floor. I had to, get the knowledge, the education, the hands-on, right? And you get into that groove of being and doing the everyday that all of a sudden, looking back on it, I see where I did put a mask on because I became a part of that life. That life just basically consumed me, and I was not being who I truly wanted to be in that setting.
You became assimilated
I did.
into that culture. But
I
what was the
did.
real reason that you wanted to become a nurse in the first place?
I really wanted to help people. I wanted to be able to give them the knowledge of how to do better and educate them on how to not be here. Don't be in the hospital. Don't be in the nursing home. Don't land in these facilities if you don't have to be here. Let's do better. I wanted to be that educator and let them know there was a better way than to be here.
All right. Well, better yet, let's go back to earlier years when you're a teenager or a little bit younger. What did you feel like back then? What made you happy? The reason why I'm saying this is kind of
Mhm.
what kind of leads you into a tribe. But when
Yeah,
you get into the tribe, a lot of times you get molded to the tribe because of proximity.
that
On
is true.
and you become what they are on it, but it
Yeah.
may completely misalign to truly the core of what you were meant to be.
Yeah. So when I was younger, of course, I lived in a home where cops were in my home, because my dad was a cop, so we had all the, um all those entities, firefighters, EMS, things like that. We're always, surrounded by our home or our business. My mom, dad owned a grocery store. So I learned very young how to read people, how to be around people. But looking back, Looking back, I can see where even those individuals had masks and not even realizing it. I don't think that they even but I liked being free. I liked being able to um really honestly just help people. I've always been that person, help somebody. If you can help somebody, to me, that's you growing as a person. But you do get indoctrinated into who you become, if you don't step back and take a look and reflect.
So that's exactly right. So becoming a nurse was the ambition.
It was. It
It
was.
fit a general value system of how you wanted to be a value to other people. And you had a
Right.
set of values that, like honesty, anything that's service oriented, something that benefits others, this whole value system there that you feel okay, that you feel like you want to line up, but you really don't know exactly what it is at that moment.
Right. Right.
Okay, so you hadn't gone through the test, as far as what is a value to you, what
Mm-mm.
is your set of values, who am I, all those things. It's just kind of you ended up, oh, I think that's where I feel where I might be most useful. It appealed to you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right. And so when you get into it and you got this one ideal that aligns with your values, and the next thing you get into it, there's a lot of compromise, there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice, there's a lot of adaptation. And then in order to fit into that culture, which all of a sudden is you drift into that. Not originally, you come in with a mission and a purpose, but you drift into the busy doingness, the
Yeah.
stress, and the compliance
Yeah.
portion of it,
Absolutely.
all of that. And then all of a sudden, that life consumes you, sucks you up to the void. You're working very hard for long periods of time. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're going against the grain of your
Yeah.
value system
You are.
because you're making compromises and decisions to deal with management and sacrifice patient care on behalf of
Uh-huh.
what management demands. So
Yeah.
that's another great. Another one is forcing you to do things that goes against your morals. There's a lot of that too that happens. And
You
so
do
we
your
got this, yeah. So you get a lot of that that's building up over time. The next thing you know, you're about to burn out at the core. In fact, you do burn out,
you
and then
do.
it becomes drudgery.
You
Then
do.
you don't want to care anymore because you don't have anything left to give.
No.
There's no
No,
replenishment.
by the time I had left the nursing floor, I was so burnt and just so tired. I did not like the way that things were being done. I saw a lot that I did not care to see and really felt that what I had to offer was better in another direction than being there.
Okay,
Yeah.
now wearing that mask,
Hmm.
we're taking this mask because I'm going to take you on a journey here with this mask. All right, this mask at that point, I know you collapsed on the floor and
Yeah.
you ended up being diagnosed with cancer and you had a death sentence, said you're not going to make it, so make your funeral arrangements, you're done. All
Yeah.
right, well, obviously you're still here. God had a different plan, and I thank God He did because I
Yeah.
got to meet you,
Yeah.
and there's a
Exactly.
reason for that.
We did.
But
There's a reason why he brought us together.
but how long did it take to understand that mask was worn? It was still directing your actions past the nursing portion of your life.
Mm.
How did that mask carry into the future events of who you are, who you thought you were at that
For
time? And,
many
and then
years.
would quite a while, I bet.
Yeah, many years. I mean, I've been a nurse for 36 years. Um, the many years, I'd say 20 plus, before I realized, the past 11 years was a real reality check for me as to knowing what I could do and how I could help other people. So, it wasn't that I had a lack of confidence in any way. It was just
No, it's the identity was
it
wrong.
was, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
there's a big difference. So, yeah, let's hold up right there. Confidence. We learn confidence a lot of times from repetitiveness.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, so we get comfortable with it, and we know what we think we know, and we execute that on a routine basis. You learned how to nurse, and there were certain things about nursing that you developed confidence on. You were able to deal with situations that younger nurses could not, or just coming on the floor
Right.
couldn't deal with because they didn't know the doctrine or the policies or anything like that. So that's a different type of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
That's Brett.
Yeah,
That's done out
absolutely.
doing. That's doing out doing this.
Right.
It's way different from becoming confident in who you are, in your value system, your
Yeah.
boundaries.
Boundaries, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you've traded all that in order to adapt to be able to survive in an environment that you thought you want to be in that tribe, and then you realize over time that's a tribe that you definitely didn't want to belong to anymore. It
Nope,
was
I was
something
done with that tribe.
completely against against what you believe in.
That's
Right.
correct. Yes.
But you came away with the programming, the script that kept you in that same mindset for years. And this is where the work, this is where we get to do the work.
Yeah.
Is we start becoming aware at some point, hopefully we do, that all our decisions that we're making at that point in time we're learning these things carry over to today. And most of us are either looking at the back at the history of it that's dictating our future, that's on repeat history, or we're looking too far forward and not living presently, and we're creating anxiety and fear of the future because it's unknown, it's uncertain. Mm-hmm. Rarely do you find somebody, and this is when somebody is really self-aware, that knows how to live in the moment and not be concerned about tomorrow, but lives today, understands the past, understands the scars that came from it as a learning experience, but it doesn't dictate their life moving forward in that. And how do we feel on that gap is one of the big reasons is we've got to figure out what mask we're carrying, what lies we're telling ourselves, what truths we adopted and thought were true, they're not truth, and find out who we truly are to go back to the core, realign and rebuild from there. And that's not something that happens in a year.
No. Well, let's take a moment for a second, because not everybody who is here since we started, our new season going live, not everybody knows, who we are and where we came from. So let's go and ask you this question. What mask were you wearing for so long before you died on the table and God gave you a way back?
Yeah, well, that wasn't quite the experience, wasn't it? My belief at the time, I was ambitious, very ambitious. I thought I was a leader, but I also knew that I like to collaborate, network, and I can see visions, and I can help other people be able to put together something and help them become what part of something that actually was part of their vision, but also be a part of something bigger on it. And originally, I wanted to fly too. When I was growing up, I was very entranced with aviation. I really was, and I loved airplanes. And I went into the military to become a fighter pilot. Injured myself. I injured my hand in particular. And during that time, well, they didn't need damaged goods, and I decided not to become a fighter pilot, and I came lost. So I took everything as the world was teaching me. Success is something that you pursue doggedly. All right,
so the world gave you a role.
Yes, you adopt the roles, and that's becoming a tribe. So what do you do? Well, I'm going into business. I don't know anything about business and modeling, mentoring, learning, pulling from other people who have become successful. But even at that point, you're following people that are successful. Well, are they producing real fruit?
Right. Yeah.
Are they peaceful? They're happy? They're enjoying their life? They got a good marriage? Or is it just that's their life, is that baby, is that business, and everything else is sacrifice? So I followed a few of those. You don't know any different.
You don't.
Unless somebody takes you aside and mentors you and tells you something different. All right. And so you're trying to figure it all out. You're being ambitious. You want to be self-sufficient because that's what the world teaches you to be, self-sufficient. You don't need anybody. You can do it yourself. And it's prideful if you make it. You have something to boast about. You got the stuff. Well, all that came about is relentless pressure, stress, concerned about tomorrow. Am I going to make it? Am I going to have enough funds to keep this going? Am I going to meet payroll to pay these people? All those pressures, and there's no peace in it. There's no rest.
Well, you can say that for nursing as well. There's no peace.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is exactly that. The world system teaches you how to burn yourself at both ends, to suck dry everything you got in order for it to feed whatever it wants for its vision. Where do you stop and say, what do I want in my life? And I stopped and said, what do I want in my life? And what are my true values? I would have identified a huge misalignment in where I was going. Then I would have had a choice to say, this is not the path I want to be on anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
could change it. But literally, like most human beings, we got to be right, for one. Two, we don't like change.
Mhm.
And three,
Nope.
we don't follow the belief systems that we inherited most of the time and what we observe.
Don't we always? I
Okay.
mean, how many of us fall in line with the 9 to 5 job system and say that, that's secure, it's a paycheck?
Well, you're trading money for security at a high value of your life, i.e., not the money part.
Right, right.
And you're trading your peace more than likely for survival. So you can have a house and put things on the table, maybe have a few things that matter to you
But
on it.
are you putting a mask on at that point?
You're settling for, which is a mask,
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
you're not being your true authentic
You're
self.
not.
You're not in the creative mode. You're in the doing mode. Again, you trade your creativity for a security paycheck. Well, it's supposedly secured source of security, which is not
Well, and
secure.
let's be clear, we're not saying that you can't have both. We're just saying that if you're living currently today, which many are, with this mask over their face of this is, the way it is, this is who I am, but you're really not being who you are. You're not being your authentic self because there's a passion, there's a desire, there's a creativity over here that's not getting tapped into because you're so ingrained with where you are right now.
Right. The last thing I was going to say too about it, we go through this whole system of belief. We assume roles. What do you do, Michelle?
When we assume a role.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do? That's how we greet each other. Hey, I'm
Right,
William. Nice to meet you.
right,
What do you do? What kind of
right.
line of work are you in?
Well, now that's the first thing that you usually ask someone, right?
But,
Hi, I'm
but
William.
right, right.
And then I come back and say, well, what do you do for a living? Instead,
Oh,
it'd
you're a
be
nurse.
better
I'm
to
an
come back and
engineer.
say, yeah, for me, and again, I have to contribute this to, a great friend of mine, Darlene, for turning around and saying, but why wouldn't you ask someone, what do you contribute to the world?
That's creative. That's the
Right,
big switch,
right.
because
Versus who are you?
we've been conditioned, especially since 1854, get 3 meals a day. That wasn't the case back then. You got food when you're able to, to round up food.
That's right. You
You
got
ate when
food
you were
whenever
able to
it
eat.
came available.
Yeah, yeah. Then you got a paycheck,
Right?
just enough to keep you alive and come
Yeah.
back from work because you have to lock you in to keep you from leaving the job.
Yeah.
You got a school system built out it that fed the system,
Right.
and it get the same type of output, train you to go to work,
Yeah.
be on time,
Be on
don't,
time. Don't
don't
be
buck the
late.
system. Yeah, don't buck
Don't.
the system, all that.
Yeah.
And then what do? Well, I'm training to put spikes in the railroad,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm going to be a welder, or I'm going to pour metal, or I'm going to be in the woods chopping out railroad ties. And that's how we identify each other.
Yeah.
Humanity loves labels,
It does love labels. There's
and
there's
it
some
loves
there's something
roles.
behind that though as to why there's labels.
Right.
It
Well, the
keeps
thing,
you keeps
yeah.
you where
Well,
you are.
right. And so when you say, well, I'm an engineer, you're a nurse, that's a label. Okay. So that identifies me as an engineer. It doesn't identify who I am. It defines a role. That's all it
Right.
is. And so
Right.
what's inside does not always match the label outside. And that's the point. Who are you?
Yeah.
What
And
turns
that's what
you
you should
on?
be asking
What
yourself
gets
right
your
now.
crank
Who am I?
going?
Yeah.
Yeah. What gets your crank going? What gets you excited about life? What gets you imagining what can be?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
switch that we're looking for, and help other people find out. But we don't treat each other that way. We treat each other based off what we inherited,
Mm-hmm.
what we were taught.
Yeah. Again,
So,
many people just do not know, that they only know what they've been taught to know. And yet they have this deepness within them that's saying, I want out. And if you're feeling this right now and you're with us right now, let us know what you're feeling right now because we would really love to help you through this. We understand because we've been there,
yeah,
you know.
we've fallen in the trap of
Yeah.
life. And
Yeah.
the big thing is to value, to really discern this. Okay. Are you stuck in busyness doing this? Are you fueling somebody else's desires and dreams and
Yeah,
visions? Or have
that's a
you
big
stopped?
question.
Yeah. So if the answer is yes, then you're trapped in the loop.
Mhm.
Now it's time to start thinking, what do I want out of this life and my alignment? You know, for me and Michelle, we both asked God, what is our purpose here? And we look to see what his plans are for us. That's another podcast we'll get into. But
Yeah, we
the
will.
fact is, the Creator made the creation, and the creation has a purpose.
Yeah.
All right. So for like an engineer or a handyman or things like that. So if I wanted to create a piece of furniture, I see the piece of furniture. Or I see the circuit I want to build because I can solve a problem with it, or I see something that makes something better. If I can see it, I can build it. If I can build it, that actually it belongs to me because I created something that was given a vision from him.
Right.
That
Right.
makes me back on that side of an equation of creation and vision and purpose, and not on the side of just doing this without any vision, without any purpose, and just wandering through the day fueling somebody else's plans. That
Mhm.
this is your job, and that's why they label it your job.
I think
It's
that's
not
why I had such a
this
hard
is not
time.
labeled who I am.
Yeah.
It's your job, and that's how we go around shaking hands. That who are you? No, we don't say who are you. What do you do?
That was my hardest part. Yeah, was, realizing that I was actually doing other people's, I mean, I guess saying doing other people's bidding was not really the way to look at that. But I was doing, what they wanted to me to do in that field, not, the way I really felt
Right.
that people needed to be treated in that field.
Exactly. My
Yeah.
wife's the same way. She felt the same way.
Yeah,
She was
you're
there to
trapped.
treat.
You were
Yeah,
trapped. Yeah.
you're boxed in and you're governed, and
Yeah.
you're doing it for trading hours for a paycheck.
So when the
And so,
mask starts to come off, do you feel freedom at first? Do you feel
no,
free when that mask starts to come off, or are
no,
you in a
no,
process
definitely
of?
not. Definitely not. It's more like, or you start feeling naked out there,
Yeah.
trying to sort things out because all of a sudden there's a there's a shift.
That
There's
was
a
so
shift.
good because you're so right. You do feel very naked in the beginning.
Yeah. You just feel exposed out there. It's
Hmm.
like, why am I living this life? I mean, all of a sudden, here's the big key. You open up the hood of the car, it's been missing for a long time. You got a foul plug in there. You didn't, but you just kept on running with it. You
Right.
got used to it. You get horrible fuel mileage. The thing jerks around all the time, vibrating you to death. But yet you just because you're so used to it and you believe that's the way it's supposed to be because you got familiar with it, you just keep running. But all of a sudden one day you open that hood. Oh my gosh, how come I've been living this way?
Yeah.
Let's get that plug changed. Maybe
Right.
some wires and the rest of the plugs at the same time. Let's really dive into this and see what all the things are happening under this hood and start
Well, let's look at
questioning
the
it.
other side of that too, the treatment. Let's look at the
Yeah.
treatment. You're treating that vehicle like it can continue to move and go, even though it's breaking down. It is just slowly
Oh yeah,
falling
it's been a
apart.
lot of undue stress all through the car
Exactly.
doing
So
that. And
it's no different than you as a human being. You're
exactly.
breaking down, and eventually you look at yourself and you go, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not
Oh,
who I am.
now I remember the point I was wanting to make earlier. Yeah, but trying to, it's like I had it and I had it, we kept talking and I lost it. That's just the fun part of life, especially when you get a little bit older. The point being, we wait to catastrophe happens before we realize we should have made change, and it's too late. A lot of the times it's too late.
Yeah.
But then again, it's an awakening, and then when you look at it, you got to be thankful for that because if you can come out of that and say that I'm grateful, new beginnings start right then, right there, not tomorrow, right
Right.
then.
That is true.
And then that's what happened to Michelle and I. We came to that point in our life, and then we asked the question, what was this life for? It had no meaning. It was struggle. It was chaos bus. It was everything that was totally without fruit
Yeah.
in the sense that you didn't have inner peace. You didn't get sleep well at night. You didn't wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, thank God it's another day. I'm happy and I'm excited what I'm going to create today." No, it's wake up. Oh my gosh, I got to deal with this again. It's eating me alive.
How many people wake up like that every day?
Yeah, I would imagine a lot.
Exactly. Let's talk about the first principles, the order of life. What we've been talking about, um, it actually points out to something much deeper into even the psychology part of this. So, because like you said, life has an order, right? So when
Well,
something is out of order,
let's stack it up more like God has prescribed the order.
right,
We're
right.
just not smart enough to follow the order, or we just don't know the order, and then we get lost in the woods. And oh my gosh, help me, help me.
Yeah, I
You
think
know,
for the most part, I think people just don't understand the order. They
no,
don't
but
understand, number one, that they've got a mask on. Let's start there. Then this conversation starts coming out and they start catching this, in conversation. Now there's a reality kind of checking into them and they're going, wait a minute. So where do I begin? And this is a great place to start with these first principles of how to actually start the beginning process and move forward. So you want to elaborate on
well,
that a little bit?
yeah. Let me come at it for a little bit of a different angle. The way most of the time the world treats it, we look at behavior and we want to modify behavior because we don't like the behavior.
Right.
Well, that's downstream a couple of notches from the root. So when we go modify behavior, it may stick for a little bit, but it may not be in alignment. So you're always going to go back to what your belief system is.
Right. You'll fall back
Okay, I
into
mean that's
it.
just a fact. You want to quit drinking. Well, I know many people want to quit drinking. They try to quit drinking, and then next thing you know, they're drinking or doing drugs or they're shopaholics. They go back to what they believe they are. Well, when I make that statement, well, there's a step before all this, before the action, before you modify any behavior. It is your identity.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to address who you are and what you're here for and why you matter before anything downstream will take hold and last and stick. But that's not the way most people approach it. This way most programs are, that you'll go to programs, you'll get a great information, you feel motivated. Motivation is like a shot in the arm. It's dopamine. It goes away after a while. 2 weeks later, you're back to the same place. You lost the steam, you lost the adrenaline, you lost the dopamine. Then you go back to who you were, believe that you are.
Well, who you told yourself that you were.
That you
You
are.
told
Yeah.
yourself all this time as to who you are. And it's so easy to go back. It's so simple
What
because
you
that's
know.
comfortable because it's once you know. That's right. Stepping out into that unknown territory can be very scary, and not having a support system is even more scary. So
Right.
not everybody's going to fall into what you believe.
Right. And that's fine because we're not here to beat beliefs into each other. Okay.
Right.
We
That's
need
right.
to respect each other's space and understand where they come from because, the saying, if you walk a mile in my shoes, well, that expresses one way of looking at it. But the thing is, they never wear your shoes to walk in anyway. That was their shoes to walk in. You got your
Right.
own set of shoes to walk in. You need to figure out how to walk in your own shoes
Yep.
and have respect for theirs. All
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
So what we got to do is strip away what has been our identity and the mask and what is who we are deep down. Where when we were children, unless we just had some god awful parents, and there are some out there,
Yeah, there are.
some bad places to be. I get that. And I mean, even in other countries, they have it, horrible.
Yep.
But somewhere in this space, that child had a dream. That child had their purpose. They had something they could have fun with, something that was natural to their being on it. And if we
Yep.
can actually go back to that spot and find out what that is, that's a huge clue to who you are
Mm-hmm.
before society got a hold of you and droned in what they wanted out of you and spit you out like a factory,
Mm-hmm.
wishing you well, and you got a retirement that you can hope for one day. That's the carrot in front of the horse on it. And as you get our age, you realize that's a farce a lot of times,
Yep.
unless you prepped and had purpose and direction in your life and planned. Otherwise, for the majority of us, it's a wishful hope.
Right.
And a
Right.
reality slam when you get our age and you're running out of the ability to produce with the body, it's kind of scary. But
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
can tell you and attest to that, you can change too. Even at 60 or 70 years old, there's plenty of opportunity to change and recreate that. But
Well, I
that's what
mean, that's what happened to us. We
yeah,
followed the societal way
the
of
golden brick
rules.
road.
And then we came back and said, this isn't us. This isn't who, we want to be. You made a decision that you were tired of going that direction and you knew that this is not what you wanted. I knew it wasn't what I wanted. I knew there was another way to do things and help people. That was not the way. And many people don't realize that though. They're in that grind 24/7, not realizing that they're that unhappy until there is a huge crash to their day one day. And
Yeah,
then
it's just it's human nature because
it is.
we want to stick into what we know, what's comfortable, even though we're getting ready to go over a fall that's about 100 foot deep into some raging water. And then when we hit that water, everything becomes extremely turbulent. But you had all the warning signs that the fall was coming. We just chose not to do because we didn't want to act on it.
Mhm. So let's talk a little bit because we're going to talk more next week about identity, but let's step into a little bit of the
Mhm.
identity side of it. You want to elaborate because we were going to talk about the Book of Acts just a little bit.
Yeah, this becomes extremely important. We're going to talk more about that next week, and I think that if you don't know who you are and what God created you to be, this is the place to start to identify who you are.
Yeah, so we were talking last night, about, our podcast today, and we were talking about the Book of Acts and stuff. And I actually read chapter 1 this morning. And it really does set the precedent for
It does.
where you're going in the very beginning. And I didn't realize how visual the first chapter in the Book of Acts really is. That's a very visual piece if you are reading it in great length and detail. Just that first chapter.
Oh
No
yeah.
other
I mean,
chapter,
you
just
go,
that first chapter is very visual, you know.
well, the Book of
It's fun.
Acts. We're not to give away next week's podcast.
Right.
It's a very structured order to come back into alignment in your identity to who you are and what you're created to be. Very structured in the sense that you got to think God has a purpose for everything. He doesn't waste energy,
Mm-mm.
and His word does not come back void. Everything about Him is to create and to move forward. The world wants to pull away and diminish,
Yeah.
completely opposite. So when you get into His world, there's multiple places in the Bible that give you the order of things of how to build a fruitful life that will last a legacy. It's embedded in there. There's the code, and most of us don't understand it, don't read it, don't know how to interpret it. But there is a clear blueprint that will transform your life. And I'm not just doing prosperity teaching on this. He does want you to prosper, but you want to build a life that is fruitful and meaningful that you can leave a legacy with. That blueprint's in there. And
Yeah.
we
Yeah. I
know,
believe it.
yeah, we know. I mean, and you can go back through history, duplicate it. It never fails, but it requires the ability to be consistent and disciplined.
So, just kind of, connecting with the listeners for just a few moments, when we take our masks off, we stand in the same place, wondering, who are we? Who are we really? Um, Early believers show that identity is not discovered through performance, as we just spoke about, right? But through relationships and beliefs. Can we kind of elaborate a little bit on relationships and beliefs and, not to really put too much pressure on tonight's podcast. Next week's going to be another great podcast, but, let's point out the possibilities. Where can they go from here? Once they listen to this and, they're hearing this and they're like, yeah, that's me. That's me. I need to really hear this tonight because I have been so uh, not where I know I need to be. I'm out of place. So what's that next step that they can, other than coming into our community, and letting us guide them and help them through the process, what is that next step that they can really take forward and move in a direction?
For me, is absolute surrender. I'd be asking God, be the very first thing I do.
And you and I both did that. That was where we started. We being in our faith as deep as we are, that was the only way I knew I was going to be able to move forward with where I wanted to go and who I knew I authentically was. But not everybody understands that. So, how about we just dive a little bit into that and speak upon that? Because I think it's really necessary.
In regards to what the
To
world would do for
surrendering,
us,
to surrendering and give, taking that next step. Because really, surrendering is the next step. When you're sitting here
well,
listening to this
it's,
and
it's
you're,
always the first step. It's the first step to awareness.
Mhm,
It's the first step to wisdom. It's the first step to enlightenment. It
right,
always has been. And surrender is a place where you quit striving against life. It's where you say, I can't do it on my own. And accept the fact you were never meant to. And accept the fact that you are not in control other than yourself.
right. That's hard though for a lot of
It,
people
it
to
is
realize.
hugely hard because that's
Yeah.
the mask you wear. You think you have control.
Hmm.
Control,
Complete control.
yeah, control is something that doesn't belong to us. We need to focus on how do we control ourselves and not react, but respond. To be silent for a few seconds, to absorb what has happened or what's been said, and then choose a response. That's called responsibility, by the way.
Right.
And so, but we don't do that for the most part. Your most successful people have learned to be quiet and
Hmm.
observe, to listen, to soak in. They don't speak that much,
Right.
but they act accordingly. And there's much power in that. But you got to come to a point of surrender. It's no longer about me or you at all. It never has been. And if we're trying to control something, we're trying to control others and the outcomes for our own benefit for most times. But what happens to the other people that you might be damaging by exerting that control that you didn't think about?
Hmm.
That's God's role.
Yeah.
It always has been, always will be. And when we're in alignment with Him, we let Him decide all those things. We stay in alignment with His will and what He asked us to be in or do, and we're obedient to it. We're one person out of 4 billion people on this planet. We didn't even make the planet. We didn't make the universe.
Nope.
And for us to think that we're in charge of it, we're stewards of it, but we're definitely not in control of it.
That is very
So,
true. And
yeah,
that's another reality check for everyone, to kind of have in their daily nugget for the day because we do believe that we control that in every aspect, but we do not. Not whatsoever.
we're not in ownership at
No.
all. No, we're, like I said, we're stewards. But the thing is, surrender is power. It's
Yeah.
not weakness. Most people don't understand that. The world teaches you to surrender. You capitulate, and you're just going to get used like a wet rag. But in God's world, when you surrender, that's power because now you're inviting the supernatural in. It amplifies way more than you could as an individual soul on a battery pack that's going to deplete, in which most of us have depleted it, and we're in brownout conditions. And we're in survival.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of us are
That's
in
the
survival.
mask.
We're not thriving. We're in survival. That's
Yeah,
like 90% of the world is in survival, not thriving.
yeah, that's the mask right there.
Yeah, it
When you
is.
learn that you're wearing the survival mask and you need to take it off and start putting on His mask, that's going to lead you to abundance and prosperity in your ways. That's going to multiply beyond more than you can ever imagine. I would get rid of that scarcity mask in a heartbeat if I'd known about it back then.
Oh yeah, we've talked about that. You
Yeah.
and I both, we would have definitely stepped back and done something completely
So
different.
if I was them out there, and then do your homework because we're going to talk about this next week. Read the book of Acts, whether you believe or don't believe.
Yeah.
It's a precedence, it's an order, it's a natural law, just like physics, just like gravity, just like light is constant. These are
That is true.
principles. These are first principles to identity. And
Yeah.
once you start understanding that, your life's going to start to shift.
All right. Well, if tonight stirred up something in you, don't let it fade away. Okay. So when this episode, closes out tonight, we have a place for you to come to on Facebook. It's called Mindful Nuggets Integrated Leadership and Wellness. Come and join us there, where there's deeper discussions on this. We're here once a week on our podcast, diving into these conversations, but we go much deeper than that on our Facebook page. So come and be a part of our community. Reach out to us. Let us know, if you're needing support, guidance of that nature. That's what we're here for. It's a place, for you to have a conversation. It's a place for you to be not pressured, but a place to land and actually have support and love that you need right now.
Absolutely. One thing I'd like to leave everybody with, and this is a great place to be, start your awareness path.
Mhm.
If something stirred in you that made you like challenge, belief, upset, or anything like that, well, look at the belief that's causing that.
Mhm.
Because that might be something that you inherited and may not be true. And when we start looking at it from that perspective, we're no longer reactionary. We're become responsive to like, wait a minute, why did I get upset over that? What's the trigger?
Right.
We stay grounded to the truth as much as we know how with God in alignment. And if it does stir something up, and look in the mirror. Why? Because we've had things too that cause us to react, and we ask the same question.
It's true.
Why is that?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so let's slow down, right? That's what we need to do and kind of reflect back if this has
Absolutely.
resonated with you at all. And, we're here to walk it with you if you're ready to walk that path and step out of that comfort zone that you've been in, step out of that mask and put that mask to the side and work your way in the direction of your own authenticity. That's what we're here for. Remember, the mask was a deception and it was for your survival. That's why you did it. That's why you have it.
Right.
But survival strategies can become identities, and that's what we want to
And the,
step away from.
right. And the hard truth about this is many people are not tired from life. They're really not. They're just not living it
Right.
the
They're
way it
just
was
not
meant to
living
be
it. That's
lived.
right. That's it right there. They're not living
Yeah,
it.
you're tired from maintaining a version of yourself that is no longer meant to be permanent, should not be there anymore, and it's costing you.
That's right.
And what is that cost?
Right. So, of course, the goal of growth is not becoming someone new, right? It's
Right.
removing what was never truly you to begin
We would
with.
like to know the true you.
Absolutely.
We're interested in the true you,
Yeah. And
not your
how we
role
can
in
help
life.
you. Yeah, and how we can help
Yeah,
you get to that next step, of your authenticity, of who you are. Let us know. So reach
yeah.
out to us. Join us on our Facebook community over at Mindful Nuggets Integrated Leadership and Wellness. We'd love to have you. Our link is in the bio here on YouTube so that you can tap into us. You can also email us and get your questions answered that way as well. Uh,
Hey, that's great. That's fantastic. In fact, we highly encourage that. Please give us your questions, and we want to highlight. We get some real good ones in there. We'll bring you up front, and we'll have a discussion.
yeah,
If you don't want to identify yourself, you don't have to. That's fine too. But we love great questions.
yeah. And we love feedback. So if you've got feedback
Mm-hmm.
for us, please let us know your feedback as well. If we are meeting those needs for you, great. Let us know. If you've got other questions that you would like us to bring to the table for our podcast, like Mr. Williams said, put those in the email, let us know, and we'll bring you to the forefront and have that conversation with you. In the meantime, come and join us over at our Facebook page at Mindful Nuggets Integrated Leadership and Wellness. We'd love to have you, serve you there, and help you through your next step. And don't forget, we have our Substack. So go out on Substack at Mindful Nuggets and check that out as well. And we would love to see you there.
Absolutely. So give yourself a moment after this episode ends and ask yourself truly, who am I and what I want out of this life? See if it aligns to what you are in the middle of right now. If it's not, then start asking the questions. What got me here and where can I go to make a difference to where I can get back and do I have happiness, joy, and peace in my life again? That's yeah, because we care. We really care. You make this world a brighter place because you found that, or have we can help you find that. It's just as important. Then the whole world benefits from it. We
That's right.
change the tone of this world, change the brightness of this world, and we want you to shine bright. So,
Absolutely.
so
All right,
just take a
everyone.
moment, be still.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And make sure you're following our 30-second mindset shift on TikTok at Mindful
Yes,
Nuggets. And also, you can catch those 30-second mindset shifts all over social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Go ahead and follow those shorts and those reels. Anyway, that was our nugget for tonight. We
don't forget
appreciate
to
you being here.
subscribe.
Yep. And make sure that you're tapping that subscribe button because we definitely would love to see you back next Monday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Have a wonderful night, everyone. We'll see you back next
God
Monday.
bless everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight.